Welcome to the first in a series of podcasts brought to you by Physical and Health Education Canada that outlines important education principles that support teachers to foster the development of physical literacy among students. My name is Ishan Angra, and I will be the host for today's podcast. The podcast was developed by the Centre for Healthy Development through Sport and Physical Activity at Brock University, located in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on behalf of PHE Canada and Sport Canada. Individuals who are physically literate move with competence in a wide variety of physical activities that benefit the development of the whole person. Quality physical education programs provide one of the most effective ways to foster the development of physical literacy amongst children and youth. Over the next several months, we will be examining various teaching strategies that educators should consider when fostering the development of physical literacy amongst their students. Using the acronym EDUCATION, we will examine one teaching strategy per podcast that highlights important pedagogical strategies that can help teachers implement a quality physical education program with physical literacy in mind. In today's podcast, the E in education will be our focus. In our education acronym, the E stands for enjoyment. When students say they have a positive physical education experience, it is usually because they had fun. Providing an intrinsically motivating physical education class is an important part of fostering student enjoyment. However, having fun does not simply mean letting students do what they want. So, how can a teacher foster enjoyment and promote student learning at the same time? In a recent study, Mandigo and colleagues from Brock University, the University of Toronto, and the University of Alberta published an article in the European Physical Education Review. They found that when physical education teachers were autonomy supportive, the students were not only more likely to be highly motivated, but also report high levels of competence, relatedness to others, and being optimally challenged. For example, they felt the challenge matched their skill level. The autonomy supportive strategies that these teachers used to foster this positive and motivating experience were coined the SIRF strategies based upon the educational research of John Marshall Reeve. In a review of the research examining effective ways that teachers fostered self-determination amongst their students, 4 key characteristics emerged. First, teachers were supportive of their students and their learning outcomes. Second, teachers motivated their students using more intrinsic methods that encourage the joy of learning over the use of external rewards to motivate student learning. Third, teachers were responsive to their students and took time to listen to them. Finally, teachers were flexible in the way they structured their class and were open to modifying the learning environment so that it optimally challenged them. The following video clip provides a brief overview of the SIRF strategies within the context of a physical education class. The activities used within the video come from the PlaySport program. You can access this resource free of charge by visiting www.playsport.net.
Building upon the SIRF strategies to create an autonomy-supportive environment, teachers can motivate students by being supportive through feedback. By providing feedback with respect to the quality of performance, students can enhance their level of competence when playing the game. To implement this autonomy-supportive strategy, students start off playing a basic version of a game. In this example, the teacher starts off with a brief explanation of a game called Chuck the Chicken. An outline of this game can be downloaded from the PlaySport website under the Batting Fielding Games category. The tactical focus of this game is on working as a team and placing the object away from fielders. The students then play the basic version of the game as described by the instructor. After playing for a while, the teacher brings in the students and they briefly discuss the importance of throwing the object into the open space. The teacher then provides the students with an opportunity to play the game again, but this time there are more objects to be thrown. The teacher also continues to give support by providing feedback about the quality of performance with respect to throwing the chicken into the open space. Students continue moving and having fun throughout the game. However, following the supportive feedback from the teacher, the students throw the chicken into the open space more consistently. The previous example of a batting fielding TGFU lesson outlined the importance of motivation through support. By providing feedback concerning quality of performance, instructors allow students to enhance their level of competency during gameplay. Building upon the SIRF strategies to create an autonomy supportive environment, teachers can motivate students by tapping into activities that interest them rather than using extrinsic factors such as evaluations, rewards, etc. In this example, the teacher starts off with a brief explanation of the game called Keep It Goin'. An outline of this game can be downloaded from the PlaySport website under the Net Wall Games category. The tactical focus of this game is on consistency. After instructions from the teacher, the class chooses their equipment and sets up their own playing areas. The students then play the basic version of the game as described by the instructor. After playing for a while, the teacher discusses effective tactical solutions with the class that were used to keep the ball in play. The teacher then provides the student with an opportunity to play the game again, but this time they can choose how they wish to play the game. As this example shows, students come up with very creative variations of the game based on their own personal interests. They are all still working on being able to consistently return the shot over the net, but now they are doing it in a way that is interesting for them. The previous example of a NetWall TGFU lesson outlined the importance of motivation through interest. By tapping into activities that are interesting to the students within their class, teachers can provide an environment where students want to learn for themselves, free of external rewards. By remaining responsive to the students within the class, teachers can further build upon the SIRF strategies to create an autonomy-supportive environment. In this example, the teacher starts off with the tail chase game that focuses on how to protect an object. The teacher provides the students with an opportunity to play the game and to develop a tactical awareness of ways to shield an object and how to take an object away from someone else. After the students have had a chance to develop an appreciation for this tactical solution, the teachers ask the students to invent their own game that focuses upon ways to maintain possession of an object. The teacher then circulates among the class, listening and responding to students' ideas of how they might invent a game that exaggerates this tactical problem. After providing students with an opportunity to discuss their game, the teacher then allows the students to try out their newly invented game with their peers. Once again, the teacher circulates amongst the class, providing positive and informative feedback about the newly invented games. Finally, the teacher provides the students with an opportunity to share and demonstrate their new game with the rest of the class. This not only provides the students with an opportunity to be actively engaged within the class, but it also encourages the other students to be responsive by spending time listening to their peers in a positive and democratic manner. The previous example of an Invasion TGFU lesson outlined the importance of motivation through responsiveness. Listening to the ideas and input of the students, as well as allowing them to create their own activity, enhances student involvement and excitement during the lesson. Building upon the SIRF strategies to create an autonomy-supportive environment, teachers can motivate students by tapping into activities that allow flexibility. To implement this autonomy-supportive strategy, students play a game called Knockdown. An outline of this game can be downloaded from the PlaySport website under the Target Games category. The tactical focus of this game is on aim and accuracy. While setting up the game, students choose a piece of equipment and set out 3 distances to shoot from. A point system for each distance is set out by the students themselves, and equipment can be chosen from anything available. This allows students to accurately play at a personal skill level and feel more confident in doing so. The key to this pedagogical strategy is that teachers provide students with an opportunity to modify the game within the objectives of the lesson. All students are still developing their ability to accurately aim at a target, but the teacher demonstrates flexibility by allowing the students to modify when and where necessary. The previous example of a Target TGFU lesson outlined the importance of motivation through flexibility. Allowing students to choose equipment and modify the game creates a skill-challenge balance that further enhances student competency and involvement.
We started off this podcast talking about the importance of enjoyment and suggesting that enjoyment is a critical factor in motivating students to become physically literate. However, enjoyment is more than simply throwing out a ball and letting the students play whatever they want. Creating a structured physical education environment that adopts the SIRF strategies is an example of an evidence-based practice to foster enjoyment within a physical education setting. This in turn provides an important education component in fostering the development of physical literacy. Please tune in to our next podcast, where we will explore the next strategy from our education acronym, diversity. In that podcast, we will explore the importance of diverse forms of physical activities within physical education curriculum to support the development of physical literacy. Examples of how teachers can expose their students to as many different types of physical activities as possible in order to encourage lifelong participation will be explored.